Fierce Catalan derby Barcelona against Espanyol. Epic behavior of Mourinho after the victory over Fenerbahce. Manchester United continues to show classy play after the dismissal of Ten Hag. Chelsea couldn't offer anything to the Devils in the clear meeting. But in the mess, Yamal is creating real miracles. Ronaldo's performance in the last match of Al Nassr shocks the fans, especially Portugal national team fans. We're talking about this and much more today. Friends, this is a dose of football and the top 15 hottest news up to this hour. Yesterday, I asked you to hit the like button with all your might, and you exceeded all my expectations. A huge thank you for such a warm support. In gratitude to you, we've recorded just a huge episode. Show me another football channel that would fill you with such portions of football every day. So it's time to wish you a pleasant appetite and a pleasant viewing. Discontent is growing with Kylian Mbappe in Real Madrid. While the oil slicks were floating, a good atmosphere reigned in the dressing room. Everyone tried to support each other, especially the team's newcomers, Enric and Mbappe. But the recent and relentless results have cracked the psychological armor of Real. Players started blaming each other for poor performances. The Frenchman. No is fed up, but the criticism is justified. He's accused of not contributing defensively, running only 5 miles in El Clasico, which other Real players have highlighted. Recall what Kylian said during his Madrid presentation? I will play where the head coach assigns me, as my main goal is to help the team. The position doesn't matter to me. The coach will make that decision. It was only 6 months ago, but so far it seems he's not helping the team. Rather, the team is helping him build stats and confidence in his new environment. Kylian mainly just gets in the way of Vinicius. But let's get back to our main problem. Real players complain to the coach that Mbappe is not working in defense, and Ancelotti had to intervene urgently to prevent the spread of fire. He proposed altering the roles of players on the pitch. If Mbappe doesn't want to run that much, the pressing role will go to Vinicius, and Mbappe's task will be to cover the right defender. That's what they decided. But, as you see, the club still has to bend over backwards to accommodate the Frenchman's wishes. His transfer to Real Madrid came with unexpected results. He presented himself at the presentation with surprising enthusiasm. But his words remain just words, and he himself has yet to justify the hopes placed on him. Of course, sooner or later, Mbappe will score. At some point, he will have his moment of glory. Even Dembele managed to shine after Xavi took over Barcelona. Mbappe is far from being as terrible as his national team partner. That's why he should break through someday. But let's be honest, his career start in Madrid is disappointing so far. The net is discussing Cristiano Ronaldo's harsh behavior in the match against Al Hilal. The forwards game has not been coming together recently. He hasn't scored in over 2 weeks, last standing out on the field. He hasn't had such low productivity since the end of last season. As you understand, he also failed to score in the game against Al Hilal, but he made up for it with other performances. The Portuguese was unhappy with the refereeing at halftime. The main referee dared to give Cristiano a yellow card, and for some reason he started to prove to the substitute that it was an unfair decision. But no matter what he was counting on, they wouldn't cancel his yellow card anyway, unless he could negotiate and get a second one for active disputes. Although this could happen in any other normal championship, but certainly not in Saudi Arabia. No one there would dare to give Ronaldo a second yellow for disputes. But in the second half, Christian's attention was diverted to the fans. I've already posted a video on Telegram about this. You must watch it. And for those who are still not subscribed to our channel, I'll tell you that the Saudi fans tried to provoke the Portuguese as usual. And their main trick was set in motion. They started to chant Messi's name. Ronaldo couldn't get past him like that. He turned to the fans and showed who really thinks about their screams. Not that the Portuguese was talking to the stands in raised tones, but his reaction went viral on the net. But what the fans were really unhappy about after the match was Cristiano Ronaldo's rough performance. The Portuguese went straight for João Cancelo, and the defender fell on the lawn holding his injured leg. The fans were confused by the attacker's decision to commit a harsh foul. One person was furious about the lack of a red card, while another was simply confused. Why play so dangerously against your own national team partner? For those interested, everything is fine with Cancelo. He quickly recovered and returned to the game. But for Ronaldo, this was not the best match. Nevertheless, he remains third in the list of the league's top bombers and can compete for the Golden Boot if he regains his previous form. The World Media Football Championship will take place in 2025. They first talk about the tournament. When the Russian Media League announced its entry onto the international stage, Media League president Nikolai Osipov spoke with Gerard Piqué, the creator of the Spanish and leaders of similar projects in other countries, after which the idea of holding an international tournament was born. They will play in the United Arab Emirates. Other than Dubai, they have not specified the cities yet. Among the 16 participants, there will definitely be a Russian team. This was announced at the forum by the technical director of the Media League, Dmitry Kartava. Of course, there will be a Russian team, definitely with their flag and anthem. This will be a full-fledged major competition. The tournament is being helped by Jerome Valky, a former Fédération Internationale de Football Association general secretary and a recent colleague of Joseph Blatter. Valky wants to invite Ronaldinho to the Media Day to promote the competition in South America. And he also dreams of negotiating with Ronaldo and Messi. He's still a professional footballer, and that's the main point. It's hard to let an active player go to our tournament. The same goes for Ronaldo. It's a dream. You understand? Attracting Ronaldo will be difficult. If Messi and Ronaldo move to media football, the league will fly to another planet. We need to think, in the next 2 years, Messi and Chris won't play at media tournaments. They already have a difficult schedule. And similar events are not a priority. Yes, and Inter and Miami with Al Nassr will be against. But then Leo Chris will end their careers and free up. Messi doesn't even know what exactly he will be doing yet. Chris, on the other hand, wants to relax after his career. But media football is not a hindrance to this. Moreover, there will be a chance for Portugal to win the World Championship, even if it's a media one. Considering that similar non-professional tournaments are gaining more and more popularity in Europe, and even beyond its borders, I see no reason why Valka's dream cannot be realized. Inter Miami is trying to check Neymar's transfer, but on paper it looks very complicated. Now Major League Soccer teams can only pay 3 players above the salary cap. At Inter, it's Busquets, Messi, and Colombian forward Leonardo Campana. Messi's base income is $12 million, but with bonuses and marketing payouts, the Argentine gets more than $20 million. Busquets raises around $9 million. And Suarez and Alba, they get a rather pitiful $1.5 million for the season. Will Neymar agree to such terms to play with his friends? Honestly, I don't believe it. But Inter's coach Gerard Martino did not rule out Neymar's arrival. It's possible, but we need to turn to Major League Soccer to make the transfer feasible. I can't imagine how it will work if the league doesn't make the rules more flexible. At the moment, it's just a discussion for the sake of discussion. To discuss that, concrete grounds are necessary. It's not enough that some footballer bought a house in Miami. Major League Soccer could quite possibly go for reforms in order to invite Neymar. Both clubs in the league understand how beneficial this transfer would be for the championship. But right now, Neymar is closer to his home club Santos than to Inter Miami. Santos Vice President Nico Asfaldo stated, Neymar will arrive in Santos in June. We are negotiating this matter. He is returning. The deceased always spoke of his love and devotion to Santos. Now the club is going through not the best times. And Ney will try to fix this, for which he even agrees to a significantly more modest contract than he gets in Al Hilal. Neymar in form is still one of the best footballers on the planet. That was true before the injury a year and a half ago. In the framework of the Brazilian Championship, he will definitely be a wild card, probably breaking a couple of performance records. It's just a pity that the comeback to Santos puts a cross on the reunion with Suarez. But there are still some chances to see Neymar and Messi duet again if Ney suddenly wants to move to Major League Soccer after a season in Santos. Borussia Dortmund didn't start in the Bundesliga as planned. Now Schmelzer is only in the 8th line in the championship. Some link this to Shakhtar's shortcomings as a coach. Some talk about discord and a toxic atmosphere in the Dortmund dressing room. A poor start or a terrible atmosphere could force the club into a forced restructuring. According to Bild, Schmelzer is considering offers for Emre Can, Daniel Mahlen, Nicolas Zul, Marcel Sabitzer, and Julian Brandt. Can wears the captain's armband, but most Borussia fans believe he's not worthy of this honor. Too weak a game and lack of dedication. Molina will probably be kicked out simply because of unstable play, and for the sake of money, despite the obvious talent. Zulia shed the extra weight and stopped being chubby. He gets his playing time, but in Borussia, they think it's better to get rid of Nicholas, who can't pull a huge salary by the club's standards. Zabitzer was a key player for the team last season, but since Shakina's arrival, his role diminished. His performance is not at the level of a rotation player. Brand suits the club's management, but they are ready to sell the trainee just for the money. He is valued at 40 million euros. Top Asian Premier League clubs are vying for the winger of the Yellow Wall, Jamie Bana-Gittens. Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham, and Liverpool have expressed interest. But Borussia is unlikely to sell the footballer. They will ask for about 100 million euros for him, although the wealthy English are not used to overpaying for players. True, he will be completely outrageous here. The transfer of Markt is worth only 35 million. As journalist Patrick Berger writes, Dortmund's goalkeeper Gregor Kobel is also planning to leave the team. The reason is simple. He wants to fight for trophies every year. Kobel deserves this. One of the best goalkeepers in the world with corresponding statistics. Only without the corresponding recognition, precisely because he plays only in Borussia Dortmund. Last season he was outstandingly pulling Bs, both in the Champions League and in the Bundesliga. Earned the right to try himself in the Grand. Legendary Marcelo continues his career, still playing for his native club Fluminense. Or rather, he's finishing up. In the 32nd round of the Brazilian Championship, Fluminense met with Grêmio, and the coach of the hosts, Mario Menezes, decided to release Marcelo for a few minutes before the end of the game. Only Marcelo either didn't like that he was given time before the final whistle, or he approved the tactical instructions of the coach. The coach and the player started to argue fiercely. The situation heated up. It almost came to a fight. In the end, Menezes waved at Marcelo and canceled the substitution. After this, of course, Fluminense fell apart. He missed a penalty in the last minute. Moreover, our well-known Felipe Melo was sent off for protests. After such a conflict with the coach, it was obvious that an apology from Marcel was expected, or his departure from the club. The defender chose the latter. Fluminense's press service said goodbye to Marcelo, stating that his contract was terminated by mutual agreement. The club noted that they remain on friendly terms with the player. All the tension is solely between Marcelo and Mario Menezes. Another ex-footballer from Madrid is also considering parting ways with the club. Ray Vallecano signed with James Rodriguez after a very successful Copa America performance by the Colombian. The transfer is more for hype than for tactical considerations. Ray plays a 4-3-3, where there simply is no place for Rodriguez. Sometimes the team comes out in a 4-2-3-1, but the role of the 10 falls to Kepa, Oscar, Trey. Honestly, right after the transfer, I thought that Hames would replace Trey, who has problems with the club president. He openly criticizes the management, which the fans love him for. Only here AES reports that Hames finally quarreled with Inigo Perez, the team's coach. It's easy to believe, after all. In 2 autumn months, Rodriguez has only 1 start. And Solovs and Rodriguez did not even appear on the field during the meeting, as Hames was angry that the coach ignored him. In general, the conflict with the coach began when the Colombian invited his teammates to watch his arrival, but the coach forbade it. Only Hames ignored his words and went to all the heavy ones in Madrid bars. And now it is expected that Hames will leave in the winter. Something did not work out with the return to European football. Ruben Amorim officially became the head coach of Manchester United. And in the winter, he might try to bring his favorites from Sporting, who will only be foreign. The press wrote that the coach is interested in Victoria Decoreshi's forward, as well as in center-back Gonzalo Inacio, and also in wingers Marcus Edward and Pedro Gonçalves. But all of them should not expect to be in Manchester before the summer, or not to wait at all, the coach stated. I have no intention of coming for any Sporting footballer in January. The years in this club were the best in my life, which I will never forget. So in this way, the coach decided to thank the Lisbon team. The media claims that Decoresh has already packed his bags and is planning to leave Sporting in the winter, regardless of whether there is an offer from Manchester United or another top club. Rumors have it that there's a high chance that some English grandee will take the Swedish forward. Manchester City, Arsenal, Chelsea, and Liverpool are tracking him. Although why City would need a footballer who is very similar to Haaland, I can't figure out. But Arsenal definitely needs a striking forward. No, Kai Havertz has performed well in certain scenarios, but not in all. For instance, when the opponent is locked in their penalty area, a powerful classic striker like Didier Drogba is more effective. At Chelsea, Nicolas Anelka finally blossomed, but it seemed in the summer that the Blues needed a new striker. There is also some sense for Liverpool in buying Deco. The unstable Darwin Núñez and the perpetually injured Diogo Jota are vying for the forward position. Of course, you can put Luis Diaz and Cody Gakpo in the 9 role, but they are much more sympathetic on the left flank. The Catalan publication and the Portuguese newspaper write that Barcelona has also entered the fight for the Swedish prodigy. In Decaresce, they see a replacement for Lewandowski, who will soon either move to Saudi Arabia or retire. Barca doesn't have the money for a full transfer of Victor. The Cinegranites will try to knock down the price, including Victor Roque in the deal. Why is there a letter K there now? Once Florentino Perez said that Real Madrid is more than just a club. It's a symbol and a role model for the younger generation, and no one can dictate terms to them. Therefore, if someone does not meet your expectations, for example, throws the golden ball to the wrong player, then in such a situation you should hysterically run away from him and then ignore him. That's precisely how Real Madrid handled Union of European Football Associations in France football. According to Marca Portal, the Madrid club has severed all relations with these two organizations. They will only contact Union of European Football Associations regarding the organization of the match. Any other communications are excluded. Is Real Madrid setting an example to follow in this situation? I don't even know. Answer in the comments yourself. There was already conflict with Union of European Football Associations after Perez initiated the European Super League project. In this, of course, I support him. It's worth acknowledging he's fighting for the right cause. But the situation with the Golden Sword cost Madrid a lot of reputational points. This has never happened before. Of course, there were times when a footballer would refuse to fly to the ceremony, knowing that he had no chance there. But for representatives of an entire club to be absent, a club that has won 2 prestigious awards, that's a first in my memory. The Golden Ball situation also appeared to hint at Vinicius' future. Yes, and lately we've been talking a lot about the Brazilian and his contract with Real. But how can you avoid it if one of the best footballers can leave one of the best clubs on the planet? In his Marca article, journalist Jose Felix Diaz focused heavily on the Brazilian's contract situation. He described that Vinicius is in doubt. On one hand, he has a performance in the most ambitious club in Europe. On the other hand, a chance to try something new and move to Saudi Arabia. Vinicius appears unlikely to sacrifice everything to chase money at a young age. Jose Felix Diaz writes that the situation with the Golden Ball has greatly upset Vinicius. I will insist on this. He no longer believes that he can win it while playing for Real. Theoretically, this could push him towards leaving Madrid, but it's unlikely that he will be tempted by a transfer to Saudi Arabia. Nevertheless, Al Hilal is planning to look for a new media star after Neymar leaves the club. This summer, the Saudi club is planning a big purchase from Europe. He has already set his sights on Vinicius as Neymar's successor, and is also looking at De Bruyne and Salah. Nothing is stopping the latter two from going to the Middle East, but the Brazilian would be better off looking at European clubs if he's so keen to leave Real Madrid. Inter Miami was defeated 1-8 by Miranchuk's Atlanta in the Major League Soccer Cup quarterfinals second leg. But Messi's team won the first leg, so we're expecting a decisive third match in the best-of-2 series. Just in case, the Major League Soccer Cup draw rules are not what the European viewers used to. And honestly, I like them a lot more. Here it's important to get 2 victories, classic ones, and no one pays attention to the number of balls scored. A victory with a score of 1-0 is valued exactly the same as a victory with a score of 10-0, and there are simply no mediocre results. If after 90 minutes a draw is fixed, the match immediately goes to a penalty series, where the winner is definitely decided. As for what's happening on the field, Atlanta fairly defeated Miami in this match. Every time you watch Inter's games, you're amazed at how a team with such a defense managed to rise so quickly from the status of an outsider to the level of a conference champion. But then you look at the attacking line and everything becomes clear. In the first half, Miami managed to keep the gates dry, only thanks to confident saves by Calendar. Inter managed to score, taking advantage of Guzan's terrible mistake. But the situation on the scoreboard in no way reflected what was happening in the first half. Atalanta had at least 2 opportunities to score a goal. Both dangerous moments were created thanks to Miranchuk. First, he made an accurate cross into the penalty area, after which the attacking Atalanta lacked just a couple of centimeters to hit the goal mouth. Miranchuk powerfully broke through and threatened in the penalty area, but Kellender pulled the ball away and turned it over. Overall, the defender had a great one-on-one. But let's get back to what happened in the second half. The situation has turned around. Miami began to storm Atlanta's gates more actively, but there was always something missing for the decisive goal. But Atlanta rarely yet accurately threatened Kellender's goal. In the end, two field owners' mistakes resulted in 2 goals scored. Miami, however, failed to make anything out of their moments, ending up with a draw. It's worth noting that Miranchuk made the decisive pass for Atalanta's winning goal. He was the most dangerous player on the host team and rightly received a high rating from the portal. And by the way, have you noticed that I almost didn't mention Messi? He was on the field, but inconspicuous, like the entire attacking line and Miami. Lionel made a few cool passes from deep, which were not realized by his partners. But he himself almost did not threaten the gates. And as for me, a forward of such level should do this more often. Therefore, it would be fair to say that he failed the match. Under the guidance of the new coach, Modric has even stopped making it into the Chelsea starting lineup. Yes, he is playing in secondary tournament matches, but Maresco doesn't trust the Ukrainian to be in the main lineup for the Asian Premier League games. The player featured more frequently under Mauricio Pochettino. On average, he played about 50 minutes per game. Under Maresco, this indicator has dropped to 20 minutes. Moreover, in many matches, he is simply benched. And what prospects does Modric expect at the London club? None at all. He won't win the competition. Not only because of weak football, but also because Chelsea has stocked up on wingers for 3 squads. And now even fairly strong guys have to fight for a place in the start. Zaha Felsh and Pedro Neto donated over 100 million together. But their situation isn't much better than Mudrik's. The Ukrainian needs to leave Chelsea. This will benefit him and the club, which will be relieved of the heavy financial burden. Editor Jesus Karamis advises Modric to move to Girona. The Catalan club must develop young footballers. In addition, Mitchell knows the specifics of Ukrainian players. Under him, Viktor Tsigankov and Artem Dovbyk managed to interest all of Europe. The latter even reached incredible heights, managing to win the Pichichi Trophy and make it into the top 30 contenders for the Golden Ball. Perhaps Modric needs some kind of team where there is not much pressure. Where not getting kicked out of the league is already considered a good result. Maybe in such a team he can feel more relaxed and start showing the game of Shakhtar times again. But the author notes that Chelsea did not benefit from the transfer to Girona. The Catalans have too modest a budget to afford Modric's salary. And there remains only the option where Chelsea takes on a large part of the Ukrainian's deposit. Or there will be no transfer. But I would still like to see Modric in Girona. This transfer is quite intriguing. And it would be nice if the Ukrainian returned to his previous level when he played for Shakhtar. No matter how you look at it, he played beautifully back then. Arsenal are starting to clear the looming storm. The team had a poor start to the new season. She only took 1 point in the last 3 Premier League matches and fell behind the league and Champions Zone limits. What kind of championship fight can be talked about in such a case? Especially when Slot so successfully inherited the cross of Liverpool's main coach. Arsenal must make changes quickly. The team is preparing for reinforcement in the winter window. Management knows the players have gotten worse at creating moments, especially without Ødegaard. But the Norwegian was not a panacea this season either. Kanoniram needs a breath of fresh air. A footballer who will bring passion and emotion back to the team's game. Of course, I would like to say that Arsenal is interested in the transfer of Vinicius. But so far, the club has more modest transfer ambitions. According to the source, Arsenal is planning to sign Mohamed Kudus from West Ham United. In the last round, Gani made a substitution and immediately put 2 of their Tottenham players on the lawn, for which he rightly received a red card. By the way, the disciplinary committee is now considering his case with the aim of extending the disqualification period. However, this will not impact his move to Arsenal, as the Gunners have long been interested in Gani's forward, since the time when he was playing football for Ajax. But then, for some reason, he decided to move to the modest West Ham, which can hardly compete for a place in the European Cups. I was happy that the Hammers managed to sign such a classy winger. But I was genuinely surprised by Kudus' decision to move to London, unless Kudus was promised to make a new Aston Villa out of the team. But management overlooked a crucial factor. Such ambitions require a corresponding coach. And West Ham signed Julian Lopetegui, who only has a few trophies to his name. Yes, and most of them are from his time working in junior football. I bet by now Kudus is disappointed with his choice, and now he wants to change his club registration. At Arsenal, he will have a place the team can offer him a fight for the most prestigious trophies in Europe. Kudus will replace Martinelli on the attack's left flank. There has been no particular benefit from the Brazilian over the last 2 seasons. Last summer, many were wondering why Chelsea needed so many wingers on the team. It was clear that you can't put everyone on the field at once, or it would be some kind of nonsense. Before the transfer window opened, Chelsea had 4 wingers, and after, they had 6. And that means most of them won't get enough playing time and will express their dissatisfaction. But what if I tell you about the desire of the Blues to sign another extreme forward? In the last episode, I talked about their interest in Vinicius personnel, but information has emerged that they are also targeting another young and talented winger. According to the source, Chelsea is preparing to offer 40 million euros for Karim Adeyemi. The German has finally completed his adaptation to the Borussia Dortmund squad. He was bought 2 years ago, but only this season he started to show his full potential. He can even be called the most effective player of Borussia. He has 10 effective actions in 8 matches this season. Sergio Girassi shows the same effectiveness, only he has played more matches. Chelsea evaluated the productivity of the young winger and probably decided it wasn't there. But what can pensioners offer besides a fat contract? Stable playing time? No. Fight for the most prestigious trophies? No. So what's the point for a young and promising one to switch to them? It's better to choose someone who can at least guarantee you a place in the starting lineup, fighting for titles and stable development. Liverpool and Paris Saint-Germain are also interested in him. Barcelona made an offer. The Catalans are not ready to part with a large sum of money, but they agreed to exchange Adama for the best player in the world, that is, for Ferran Torres, and 15 million euros. I believe that Borussia would not be wise to refuse such a beneficial offer. No one in their right mind would miss the opportunity to work with Ferran, and the transfer can already be considered completed. Well, if seriously, Borussia needs to work on selling Adeyemi. He was bought for 30 million. Accordingly, the price tag will start from this mark. And Barcelona might take back its offer and go for a walk. Real Madrid wants to strengthen the center half in the winter window. The main transfer targets for Madrid are Rodri from Manchester City and Enzo Fernandez from Chelsea. Both players are not cheap, and Florentino Perez has been quite frugal in the market lately. This summer, he spent less than 50 million euros. In the winter window, the real president has long stopped buying. But, as you understand, the team is not shining. We need to solve problems radically, since the coach can't find balance with his own strength. First, we need to sell someone. The victim of Madrid's transfer ambitions could be Relencho Mini. Not that he played poorly this season. The Frenchman is as unstable as all of Madrid. The player's transfer is a team issue, not his own. He was seen as a profitable asset to be sold and replaced. Real Madrid is seeking a central defensive midfielder, but won't offer discounts, demanding the full 100 million transfer fee. Liverpool is currently the sole contender, which may suffice to facilitate Tchouaméni's sale. The scouts didn't shock too much in the summer window. They only signed 2 footballers and left one in his former club. And the second was bought only because there was a chance to snatch him cheaply. But at the same time, Liverpool tried to sign another player, specifically Martin Zubimendi from Real Sociedad. But the footballer himself refused to transfer because of his love for the team from San Sebastian. That's his right. Still, Liverpool persisted in their quest to acquire a central midfielder. And since Real is ready to transfer one of the best defenders in the world, the Scousers are ready to take advantage of this. But they will have to go for a personal transfer record. The most expensive purchase so far remains Darwin Núñez's transfer last season. Uruguay's cost was around 85 million euros. And Tchouaméni's transfer will be even more expensive. I just don't know who the French midfielder will replace in the base. But I think, since they've been talking about Tchouaméni's transfer to Liverpool so much lately, Slot will find a suitable role for him. What kind of madness was going on in the Catalan derby yesterday? Espanyol smartly scored 4 goals against Barcelona, but Flick's band still held on to the victory. In fact, everything was decided in the first half. Barcelona just kept breaking through the opponent's defense, and in the first 45 minutes, without much effort, scored 3 goals. Dani Olmo and Lamine Yamal excelled for the Blue Granite team. I thought the Catalan winger would feel uncertain after the failure at the Golden Ball ceremony. I'm talking about that episode when they handed him a headphone with a French translator, and he just didn't understand the question posed by the hosts. In the end, the Spaniard awkwardly thanked his partners, never answering Didier Drogba's questions. But the guy didn't get upset at all. On the contrary, he seemed to be charged with new energy after receiving the COPA trophy. Yamal confidently dribbled, surprising the Espanyol players with his technique on multiple occasions. And his pass to Olmo was just a piece of cake. I'm still amazed by the abilities of this 17-year-old genius. It's just impossible to play so well at such an age. But Yamal proves the opposite. Just watch the review of this match on our Telegram channel. First of all, the fantastic technique of the new Messi. Secondly, reviews and other snacks on Sunday. And thirdly, we have a valuable prize draw going on. And there was less than a week left. In the second half, the Catalans visibly reduced their tempo. They allowed Espanyol to take the initiative. He gladly seized the opportunity and scored 4 goals. There's just one nuance. Among all the balls, the guest team only counted 1. Espanyol players were caught offside twice. Once, the ball left the field during an attack. Still, Hunterflick should make a physical note for such a sloppy game. If Spain wasn't the opponent, the game could have ended in a loss. Now let's move to England, where Manchester United and Chelsea played against each other. The more I see matches under the leadership of Ruud van Nistelrooy, the less I see the point in inviting a Marima. Manchester United is excelling. If the players seize their opportunities, it would be a dream come true. However, Manchester has struggled with realization since the beginning of the season. Ten Hag also suffered from it. It led to the Dutchman's dismissal. If not for the team's mistakes, he would have stayed in charge until the Leicester match. But then we would hardly have seen such a brilliant match performed by United. And Ruud van Nistelrooy is not yet losing on the coaching bridge. But there are still 2 matches ahead. Can the Dutchman leave with his head held high? Galatasaray is preparing to buy out Victor Osimhen's contract. The Turkish club's management has prepared an offer. But first, let's talk about how the Nigerian has performed in his new team. Galatasaray currently leads the Turkish league, and everything is going well so far. Secondly, Osimhen is gradually beginning to integrate into the new collective. His adaptation successes are visible on the field. In the last 4 matches, he scored 4 goals. His recent goal against Besiktas earned the team 3 points. Now it's clear why Galatasaray is rushing to buy out the Nigerian's contract. We must seize the opportunity before Osimhen reaches his full potential. And De Laurentiis hasn't forgotten how the footballer behaved in the summer window. I remind you that Chelsea's representatives were persuading the attacker to join them until the very end. But he refused, and Napoli couldn't sell him profitably. And De Laurentiis lost money. Now, no one will offer such an amount for a footballer. According to the source, Galatasaray can only allocate 50 million euros. I believe this amount is appropriate, given the situation. His contract with Napoli is ending quite soon, and a transfer to Galatasaray could be some sort of compensation for De Laurentiis for the money and nerves spent. Since we're talking about the Turkish championship, let's say a few words about Mourinho and his Fenerbahce. Yesterday, the Canaries won an epic match against Trabzonspor and soared to the second line in the tournament table. The coach was so happy with the late victory that he ran onto the field and tried to slide on his knees across the lawn. However, the lawn was too dry and he took a tumble. Still, he persisted. He still went to celebrate the victory with the team. I haven't seen Mourinho this emotional in a long time. For a while, they couldn't even calm him down. The footballers had to drag the coach into the locker room because he was ready to celebrate the victory with the fans to the end. The evening was successful for him. What else can you say here? And that's all for today. Thank you for watching and subscribing to the channel. Friends, don't forget that Dose of Football now has its own radio show on. Believe it or not, the radio. Link in the description. Well, my name is Kirill Cast, and this was your daily dose of football. Peace to your house and Johanga, friends.